Hello AP, this is Mrs. Bastelica, and I'm going to talk to you right now about how to develop a topic based on your independent reading for research. So let's talk about where you should start. You've already done a little bit of this on your Google Doc reflections that you've shared with other students who read similar books as you. I want you to start by simply reviewing your text, going back over what you've written in those reflections. I want you to think, who's a character that was appealing or maybe provocative to you? Provocative means it provokes some sort of response in you. And you might find this character provocative for good or for bad reasons. Maybe they were just really awful, really terrible, and that's what made you interested in them. What was an event that stands out in your mind from your reading? Was it for good or was it for bad reasons? Was an idea that was particularly interesting to you? People, events, or ideas are the kinds of things from your text that you might want to do more research on. Here are some example people, events, or ideas from two texts. I know a handful of people read these texts, but I just pulled them out at random. So any of your texts, you can come up with interesting topics for research. Here's an example from a fiction text. In The Great Gatsby, Jay Gatsby supposedly made his money on bootlegging. What is bootlegging? Why was it illegal in the 1920s? How did people make so much money off of an illegal activity? Or here, an example from a nonfiction text. In Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, he discusses the killing in 1995 of Amadou Diallo, in which 4 New York policemen shot an innocent man on his doorstep 41 times. Malcolm Gladwell's book Blink is about reactive acting without thinking. So how does this topic relate to the idea that acting without thinking can have negative outcomes or negative consequences? I really want you to pick a topic about which you want to know more, something about which you are really genuinely curious. So what would you like to know more about? Is there a person, event, or idea from current society, from the news, from your own personal experience that this topic reminds you of? How might you go about researching this? These are all things to think about as you decide on a topic about which to write. Like you saw in the examples from the last slide, I really want you to develop a question about this topic that you genuinely want to answer, okay? The key here is that you need to be genuinely curious about this topic. Next, I want you to consider, is your topic argumentative or is it expository? For the purposes of this, it can really be either. So expository topics are usually you, the writer, explaining an idea, a person, or event, usually by focusing on causes and effects or classifying ideas. Argumentative topics are ones on which you have to take a position and support it using evidence and considering counterarguments. This is what I want you to do for Monday, the day that I return. On your Google document, please record the following: a brief description of the person, idea, or event that you're thinking of researching, a question about this idea that you might want to answer, whether or not you're thinking of writing an expository and argumentative essay and why, and then a brief description of what you expect to find in your research. So maybe you want to find more examples of a similar idea. Maybe you think you might find news reports from a historical event. Maybe you'll find contemporary news reports that explain an example of a similar idea. I know this might feel a little bit general to you now, but as you go back and look at your topics, and maybe even as you discuss it with other classmates, you'll find things that you're genuinely curious about. That's what I want you to do. I want you to develop a question that you're going to answer through research. When I return on Monday the 14th, we'll be talking about how you're going to format your research before you even write your essay. Thanks. Please email me if you have any questions. See you soon.